Hello, I'm host Eric over here, and I'm host talking with people here with Fifth President Hayden. Hayden is getting typed. He's gonna get typed hard.
I suppose.
Okay, my first question to you is.
Well, do I look at the camera?
Yeah, that's fair. Either way, you know. First question to you is: assuming you are in a group of 6 people. And 2 of them are arguing a lot during the course of the evening. Explain to me your progression of reaction through 3 events. The first event, they start arguing, and you can see the other people besides you kind of like rolling their eyes and getting annoyed. The second time, a little bit later, like half an hour later, resume arguing, and one of the other girls that's not in the argument starts going like, "Oh my God," like starts vocalizing their frustration. And then in the third instance, they are literally screaming at each other in a library. And for some reason, none of the rest of the group can leave them at that moment because he's got your insulin, and you all need insulin shots. Okay?
Right.
So, describe to me how your behavior is in each of those 3 situations.
So the first one, I don't really care. Like the fact that they're in a library.
Can I get cheesecake? And I think we're just getting desserts here. Yeah, and I think, I don't know if I forgot what you said.
I'll do the this thing.
You want that apple crust?
Yeah.
Alright, vanilla ice cream, caramel sauce, all that good stuff?
Yes. Can you put the ice cream on the side?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh, and the banana split sounds good.
And a banana split?
Yeah.
Right on. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. And did you want any strawberries or whipped topping on your cheesecake?
I'll go for whipped topping.
Whipped topping? Alright.
Yes.
Don't be bad, honey.
Like the fact that they're in a library would make me really uncomfortable. If there's any other setting.
We'll start with the first one. Remember, it's early in the evening. You guys just went
Oh
out.
yeah, not a problem.
So other people are kind of rolling their eyes,
Yeah,
but
I
you don't
don't
even
care.
bother that much. You don't even care.
I don't
Okay.
think I care. And then they're.
And what if one of the extra parties goes, Hayden, what do you think about this? Don't you agree they're arguing too much?
Well, I guess it depends on what they're talking about.
They're arguing about whether or not bananas are healthy.
Well,
It's a serious topic.
that's a good question.
Well, one of the people insists that potassium overdose is a serious problem. And he's seen people, he says, he's seen people who've eaten 3 or 4 bananas. On the 5th banana, they suddenly fall pale and fall down on the ground. He's convinced that it's a problem with excess banana eating. And the girl who's arguing with him, she says, no, I eat dozens of bananas every day because the only thing between me and death is this massive influx of potassium. They're quite starkly in distinction.
So if someone said, what do I think about them arguing?
Don't you think they should shut up? That's what they're basically saying to you.
I don't think I think I would be neutral at this point. I would say I don't care. You know, it's honestly it's not something that's affecting me. It's not making me uncomfortable. Like I think arguing is a good thing. Like or at least debate of some sort. I don't think I would find at least this first stage problematic.
Okay.
Or I wouldn't find it uncomfortable. And the fact that they're uncomfortable doesn't like that's not like a super important thing.
Now in the second instance, the group's talking. Judy's mentioning, I got the most amazing deal on this new Prius the other day. It's yellow. And then these two go, yellow? And they starting again with the bananas.
Start again with the bananas.
Yeah. They're starting again with the bananas because you mentioned yellow. That's why.
No, it's
or somebody
true.
mentioned Judy mentioned yellow. Well, we'll go with that camera. Fine.
And we're still like outside.
No,
or-
now you're in a different place. You guys
And
are strolling in the park, enjoying a nice spring day. You all sat down on some benches there, and we're having a great conversation about cars for about 2 minutes before, boom, the yellow is a trigger. They're highly triggered by it, and they're both resume the argument about bananas. Now Judy is getting frustrated because she wanted to tell a story about her new Prius.
I don't think like the fact that Judy wanted to talk about her Prius, like, you know.
Hayden, I am just dying to tell the story. Will you please make them stop?
Oh well, if she asked me, ask them to stop, I would ask them. You know, I'd say, can you guys
How
stop
can
talking?"
I stop when she could so wrong about bananas?
Well, like, why are you guys like? Like, I would probably weigh in the debate and say, this is ridiculous. Like,
Hayden,
this isn't even
not ridiculous. It's extremely important, says the girl.
Well, it's just not even an intelligent discussion at this point.
Wow.
Like, it's unreasonable. Like, they're
Okay.
being unreasonable about, like, now they can have an intelligent, sophisticated debate about bananas and the merits that they have in terms of, like, health or whatever. But, like, it doesn't, it's like, it's not that anymore. So, like, I would say, this is what I would say. I would say that.
Okay.
And I would appeal to their,
Reason.
yes, I think.
Okay.
Like, I would, yeah.
Different question. How often do you do something like this? You're driving in the car or riding or walking someplace. Nobody's talking to you. There's nothing actively engaging your verbal parts of your brain. Okay, so you're just
Someone's talking to me. You said?
no one's talking to you. What I'm
Okay.
saying is you're either just driving by yourself. There's no radio on, or you're walking someplace. There's no talking to
Yeah.
engage your verbal parts of your brain. So you're just thinking. How often will that thinking sound something like this? Okay, well, once I get home, I need to call back Joe, and then I got to do that 2-page paper that I was assigned, and then I've got to go to work at Starbucks later or something like what, like how much of the time when you're thinking about yourself are you recapping your responsibilities and upcoming schedule and stuff, if ever?
Well, I do that. I definitely do that. Not a lot. So, like, if I was doing that in the car, driving home, I would think about what I'm gonna do, like when I get there or something. Like, if it's like homework, I'd think about it. But what ends up happening is, like, I'll because I reflect on my experiences, like these things. So I think that what often, like, I will do that, but then I'll forget that I'm doing it, and then think about other stuff, and then, like, find myself, like, in a completely different place, like, not like locationally, but like in my brain, and then I'll, like, try to think about that thing that I was thinking about, like, before again.
Are there circumstances where you're sitting
something.
around doing whatever, like, say, watching TV or something that's not conventionally considered productive? Watching TV or just lying on the couch or something like that. And you think to yourself, I really ought to get up and do blah. But then you don't for a while. And then eventually you do. You get up and you go do that thing. Most people have this sort of general experience, right? So my question is, how well can you explain the moment and the cause of you transitioning from not doing it, continuing to watch TV, continuing to lie on the couch, to doing it?
Like, when that happens to me, it's typically, like, this happened to me a couple days ago. Like, I need to get out of bed. I slept in an extra hour because I told myself I could do that. And then I, like, gave myself 10 more minutes. and then I was like, I need to get up. I need to, like, turn in this, like, proposal for my thesis, or the research paper I had to do. And it's more just like I have to do it. Like, it just, it's like it happens. Like, I just, like, need to do it now. Like, I gave myself all this time. Like, it's time to now get up.
So you reflect on the fact that you've already given yourself extra times, so you don't deserve other extra times. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, maybe something like that. Like,
What are you studying?
philosophy. And I also, like, needed to do something else. Like, so, like in my brain, as I was thinking about if I want to sleep in longer or not, like, making those decisions, like, I was counting how many hours I had until the assignment was due. And I would say, oh, I could do it in this amount of time. Like, it's ridiculous that I would need, like, 7 hours to do it.
How long did it take you to do it?
I think after I finished, I think it took, like, an hour and a half.
What are some of the philosophical notions that you're more attracted to, and some of the philosophical notions that you're less attracted to?
So I have apple crisp,
Thank you.
vanilla ice cream on the side, cheesecake with whipped topping, heavy vanilla split. You're welcome. And do you want any of these desserts?
I'm good.
You guys are awesome. Back with some more coffee in a second. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So yeah, philosophical notions that you're fond of, or philosophical notions that you are in opposition to.
Well, something that like is frustrating right now is like philosophical landscape. So we're reading this guy named Rorty in like my pragmatism class, and I generally enjoy what the pragmatists are up to. Like I think that they get some things right. But I guess I don't like the anti-foundationalism of pragmatism.
Which is what? I don't know these terms pretty
So like so when we think about like foundations of like something like knowledge or truth, like the Christian might say, oh, like God or something, like God is a foundation, or the empiricist might even say something like experience or something like that. So there's foundations, or like realism. So we think that like the world exists, like outside, like this stuff exists, and we can access it. That you can, I think you can consider that a foundation.
The objectivist, yeah, sure.
Yeah, an objectivist, I guess. Like an anti-foundationalist would say, like they would either rely on some sort of circular reasoning, or there's just like nothing to prop up like the program that they're trying to like get off.
You
the
mean
ground.
you find relativism frustrating?
That's essentially what's frustrating. So pragmatism struggles with that. So like this Rorty guy, he talks about how there's different levels in which you would consider the pragmatists a relativist. So they're meta-philosophical relativists, according to him, which means that they're relative in terms of if we had the options between a system like Kant or a system like Hume or even like some Christian dude or something like more normal. Like, there's no way of distinguishing between those different metaphysics.
But there is.
Well, that's what he's saying. There's not.
I know, but he's wrong.
Well, yeah, that's what's frustrating. So the the
Just saying bullshit doesn't make it meta.
yeah, but I find that frustrating. Like it doesn't square well with like my experience at all. And I don't think anyone else's experience or logic or
a tortured way to justify a pre-existing conclusion that you prefer uncertainty over fact as somehow more defensible. But it's absolutely less defensible. It's absurd. You know, I mean, there's no reason for relativism at all because, like you said, it runs contrary to our experience and everything we know about everything. Nobody behaves in a relativist fashion. It's all abstract positions. So yeah, it's a weak claim to make. It's not even hardly making a claim. So what's the fucking point?
Pragmatism, like what it's up to, is it's trying to resolve philosophical problems in a different way than like the analytic philosopher, the logical positivist, or the
particularism. But
pragmatism.
I know pragmatism, but it sounds to me like if I'm interpreting what you're saying correctly, they're essentially trying to find a way out of codified ethics and into situationally particular ethics in a way that doesn't utterly collapse all meaning making. You know?
Yeah. So what they want to do is they want like they do have some sort of like morality. So they have some ethic. They wouldn't be considered relativists according to Rorty. Insofar when we're talking about real problems. So if we're debating if we want democracy or we want authoritarian structures or we want clean economy or we want market-based systems, like that's a thing. Like there's right and wrong there. Like there's better and worse.
And he'd agree with that.
Yeah, you'd say, there's no relativism there. But if we were talking about developing a robust metaphysic where we had this weird system, where we had this we can explain dualism, and we can explain God, and we can explain morality in like this metaphysical way, He's saying that's ridiculous. We can't figure that out. Now there might be something like that, but we can't access it. There's no reason to think about it. It's silly. You're wasting your time. But it's what's frustrating is, to me, is in philosophy is when someone thinks that they've like came up with something new or something that they're certain now. Like I do enjoy like a dose of fallibilism. So like in something pragmatism does right is I think something like fallibilism.
I mean, if people are fallible, so
Well, that we can't like intermediately there's kind of how science works today. So it's like we have this best explanation of this experience or this measurement or whatever. And then so we reason to the best explanation until we find something better and we substitute. So we say, oh, it's not
but
this.
philosophy doesn't work like that.
Yeah, but so that's
It doesn't, because there's a perfectly logically consistent ethics system we already have in place that everybody already understands.
what do you mean?
Negative rights framework, right? Because in that case, we understand rights is that which confers a duty upon another person. And the only duty that can be conferred universally is the duty of non-interference. From that follows all the other it at least defines the morally prohibited stuff. It doesn't define what's morally required. It doesn't define what's morally permissible, except in terms of what's not morally impermissible. So it doesn't provide enough guidance for you as a human, as a moral agent in general. You need something else, God, I think, to help define some of the other aspects of morality. But I believe you can be a person who engages in no wickedness, no overt wickedness, by following the negative rights framework.
Yeah, so in terms of your claim about science, philosophy not being anything like science, like maybe in terms of ethics, there's, it's like maybe that's not the case. But in terms of when we're thinking about physics, like quantum physics and like things like gravitational waves, or even the fact like how do we even arrive at something like science? So how do we justify the conclusions that we're getting in science, like what it's doing, like how are we getting there? Like we have to posit a few different things. We have to say like the senses are generally reliable, that the world that we're studying is real, is accessible to us, has something to do with.
It really boils down to an ability to restrict the variables. That's what science. To the extent science is successful, it's successful in exact proportion to the extent that it's able to restrict the variables. And in the course of reality, you're unable to restrict all those variables. So, smoking causes cancer, except it really doesn't for almost anybody. What it causes is emphysema at a much higher rate than cancer. Lung cancer, almost all lung cancers are caused by industrial shit. Almost none of them are caused by cigarette smoke. But it is true that like 20 times as many cigarette smokers get lung cancer as non-cigarette smokers. But it's like out of a population of hundreds of millions, it's like 50 cigarette smokers and 5 non-cigarette smokers. And then all the rest of the lung cancers are industrial shit. Nobody ever knows this, right? Why not? Because they've got some clear statistical correlation they can point to that does prove what they're saying, and nobody cares about the reality that it's massively low impact. But emphysema is a real threat, but nobody distinguishes between the two things. Nobody says emphysema is actually a problem, and lung cancer is actually not a problem with cigarette smokers, because nobody wants to encourage cigarette smoking, right? So the thing is, I think the problem with a lot of philosophy is, first of all, it doesn't start with a good epistemology that explains what truth is. Like all philosophy classes, in my opinion, should start with epistemology. What is truth? And they should answer that question by saying there are 3 legs to that stool. Number 1, truth bearer, truth carrier. So that's the oldest model of truth, which says the world is the bearer of truth, language is the carrier of truth, and you compare the language to the world, and if they match up, it's true. Well, there is an element of that. The second model says it's a correspondence theory, that it's not actually comparing against reality, it's comparing against consensus about the meaning of the words. So if I use the word as it's normally meant, then it's going to be true. And if I use it in some off way that's contrary as normally meant, then it's not true. But see, that's a shitty model, and that one falls apart instantly because obviously you're having to reference reality still, right? A third model is the primitivist model that says truth is irreducible, that we can't explain it in that fashion. It's an emergent phenomenon of either language, human experience, and there's nothing more to say about it. But what it seems to me, everybody is missing about truth is number 4, intention. Really, it requires, it is an emergent function of grammar, so that aspect of the primitivist notion is true. It's also concurrently an element. It's delicious. Thank you.
Coffee. More coffee?
It's also concurrently an element of comparing it against the world, and then it's lastly and most importantly an issue of intention. So if a person intends to deceive, even if the words they say are technically true by some other mechanism, the problem is they're being deceitful. And there's an obsession that we be able to divorce the language from the agent who says it. It's impossible, even if it's in a book. Because the person who said that and wrote it or whatever did so for a reason. And it is for a reason specific to themselves. Even if it's just they wanted to be logically consistent with their own model, or they wanted to sound smart or whatever. You can't evaluate, we want to evaluate language distinct from agents because language exists distinct from agents, in the sense that books persist long after the people who wrote them are dead.
Well, language certainly persists, but like, what language is getting at? Language is a construction. Like, it's not like this objective thing. It's a tool that we've developed.
I think it's the currency of experience. It's
okay.
Because look, to the extent that we have certain vocabulary, we can understand and talk about certain things. And prior to having that vocabulary, those things can be right in front of our face and we won't be able to see them.
Okay.
So, like cognitive functions is a perfect example. I didn't discover the cognitive function model until I was like 43 or something, a couple of years ago. Prior to that, I had known about MBTI, and I had known about, four-letter types, and I had identified with the NGP type, but I had never heard anything about the model underneath it because back when I first found it, it wasn't on the internet. There wasn't cognitive function.
Is that the function stacks?
Yeah. Once I learned about that, it caused me to think about all sorts of shit way differently. Like, nowadays, when I engage certain behaviors, I say to myself, "You're FP dancing, Eric. Stop it." Used to be, I didn't have a word for what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just scrambling around trying to make sure you didn't misunderstand what I was trying to get. I hope you didn't think I meant to say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." I used to just do that and not know what it was, not know that it was a thing even, right? It was just how I acted. I don't know. Just what I was doing at that moment. Once I have a cognitive function model in my head, which is really a way to taxonomy human experience, now I can understand my own behavior and others' behaviors through a much more effective lens. So, I think language is, without language, we don't have any meaningful experience.
That makes sense.
I think, but
no, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So
it's definitely a way. It's like, I agree.
Have you heard the troll question? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have any questions for him?
No.
Okay.
I think I know what he is, but I would like you to.
I think I do too, but I will ask more questions. Okay. Would you rather be asked to explain to a bride at the altar why her groom has run off and is not coming back.
Everyone in
That's
your
option one.
Yeah, the lady said she was getting some, but
The lady.
I'm not sure.
No apologies necessary. I'd like some more decaf too, if possible.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay, so that's for option number one. Option number two is help the groom later on, like weeks down the road or something, clean out his garage, pack up all the stuff into 2 trucks, and move to another place. Which of those 2 tasks, which of those 2 unpleasant tasks do you choose?
Oh, move the stuff. That's so much easier.
It takes a lot longer.
No, that's fine. Manual labor's pretty cool.
Okay.
Manual labor, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would
Doing
choose the
stuff.
first one in a heartbeat. What about you?
Well, I choose the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
The other
Really?
one seems like a hassle.
Right.
What?
And plus, like, you gotta be delicate with this stuff. You gotta, like, put it in a certain place.
No,
You gotta.
that's like much
You're an
easier.
INTP. He's an INTP. He's got to be. I mean, you don't think so?
No.
I get INTJ.
You think you're an INTJ?
I think
That's
it's
what I
an
get.
INTJ. Like, at the beginning, I forgot what question you asked. What was the first question you asked? Remember? I couldn't tell you.
Let me.
For all it's
Okay,
worth.
I don't know, but let me ask an INTJ question. Now
Sure.
this is on the plate. Let me see. All right, first of all, are you better at drawing pictures or singing songs?
Well, I suck at drawing, so definitely singing songs.
In a sexual relationship with like a girlfriend or something, which of these 2 unpleasant things do you identify with more? That you're a baby or that you're a victim?
That I'm a baby
Yeah.
or a victim. What I think is worse?
Now, which one do you think is more you? They're both bad. They're both not
Oh,
desirable.
God.
But which one do you think is more like you?
I would probably end up being a baby more than a
You're an INTP, dude. You're not an INTJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, sexually, INTPs and ENTPs are infantile. They're not victims. INTJs are victims. And then the first one is INTJs are very visual in their representation of things, not just in the fact that he likes songs more than drawing pictures. He's terrible at drawing, but when I ask INTJs questions that are not spatial, but are philosophical questions, they provide very spatial answers.
He said earlier that he's a spatial thinker.
I heard him say it. I haven't heard him display it.
He also, at the beginning, he said something about him feeling a certain way. I forgot what question it was, but he said, what was it? Do you remember? I don't remember what it was.
But like with the at
That was
least
a good
with
one,
the-
though. That was totally
You mean the
INTJ
5
answer.
things? 5 things you're gonna sell. One of them you have nostalgic value to.
It was here.
Oh, it's
That was
here.
at the other place, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Here we started with the group of people, 6 people, and they're arguing about bananas.
Yeah, he said it didn't affect how I'm feeling. That's what he said. He said it doesn't affect how my involvement in it. It doesn't affect me.
Okay, but it does because otherwise he would have chosen the altar. That sounds
Why?
very, because it takes a lot less time, it involves a lot less work, and the only thing that's bad about it is it requires you to use a lot of FE. Now,
Yeah.
granted, INTJ has FE in the 7th slot. Polar, plays of least resistance, means you're not going to like FE. But that's the answer you gave of trying to avoid it. That's more of a INTP thing, because that's FE in the 4th slot, where you're consciously aware of how unpleasant it's going to be. If you're an INTJ, you wouldn't realize how unpleasant that was until you started doing it. But you make the practical and sensible decision of saving a bunch of time and physical effort and stuff, and just talking to the chick and explaining to her, look, the dude had bailed, don't even worry about it, you're going to be fine, you're a beautiful, beautiful lady, there's lots of fish in the sea, you know, all that shit, right?
Yeah. Well, like what? So you think that, the fact that the reason why I didn't do the first one is because it would suck. Like to talk, and I would feel uncomfortable, and I would feel really weird. And yeah, I know that I can offer advice, and it would be helpful, and maybe at a different time, I would be completely fine, offering advice. Like that doesn't seem like that's something I would, if something I would do.
Okay, well, let's ask some more INTJ, INTP questions. Let's do TITE. Is it more important to be effective or be thorough in understanding? Be effective in outcome or thorough in understanding?
What do you mean by effect? Like, what am I doing? Am I like doing my homework? Am I like, what, yeah, it depends on like the thing.
Oh, it depends? Yeah, I mean, that's an INTP answer. I'd say, because INTJs would probably just say effective. The other thing is, you don't talk like an INTJ. INTJs have a particular way of talking. And INTJs don't display your level of FE grace, which INTPs are remarkably graceful, given the fact they have expert feeling in the fourth slot. And it's because of the reason I said earlier, they're risk avoidant in that area. And it's an area in which risk can easily enough be avoided. INTJs start with NI, introverted intuition. So let's ask NI question. How many different ways can you think of to talk about dogs?
Well, I've actually gotten this question before, I think.
Okay. Well, then how about this? Your mother-in-law, your future mother-in-law, your new fiance, Judy. Remember Judy?
Oh, yes.
She's now your fiance. Her mother has roped you into going hiking today with you and Judy and her. And she's 65 years old, and she's pretty spry, but she's really extreme ENTP. And so, she has a history of taking people on kind of crazy, dangerous things that they shouldn't be doing. And so, you're tasked now to think of all the different things that could go wrong on this hike. And Judy's saying, look, if you produce a big enough list, my mom will say, okay, fine, let's go to the movies instead. So just come up with as many different ways that this could go.
And they could be extreme. Like meteorites can fall and go through our heads. Well, that could happen in a movie theater.
Okay, so Judy might say, hey, that's non-unique to hiking.
Yeah.
But it's still a way hiking could go wrong, and you could potentially
it would be more likely,
that,
outside. There's nothing to stop the meteorite.
Right, and the movie
that'd be
theater,
one. I'm going to put that on the list.
Down by,
yeah, it might not kill
what
you.
What else is on the list?
It might get offset. Well, obviously you can fall. You can like trip and get an infection. It can start raining. There can be a flash flood. Like I could die. She could die. The fiance could die.
You're an INTP.
Attacked by a dog.
You're textbook INTP, dude.
Yeah.
But you know what? Shitloads of INTPs get INTJs if they take the online tests. And the reason for it is because those tests are stupid and they don't measure the right shit.
Well, he said he's read them before and he identifies with INTJ.
That is true. At least of the literature that I've read.
Well, I mean, what is it that you...
They're very similar, but...
That they're not at all.
You don't think?
They're not remotely similar.
Well, he does the daydream thing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
He does...
What's the daydream thing?
Well, INTJs daydream.
So do INTPs.
It's different. INTPs are going to relate to things to one another, and INTJ is going to, like, make connections. That makes sense.
I mean...
Like a general big picture idea.
INTJs...
And they build things. You say, are you more of a constructor or a deconstructor?
I think a constructor.
No, the question is, are you more of a constructor or an executive? INTJs are executives. INTPs are constructors. So constructors, this is what I mean by that. Constructive versus executive thinking. Constructive wants to do it like, well, let's mush it around and look at it like this. Nah, let's take this piece out. Okay, maybe. Now, well, let's put this over here. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. Now, if I shape it a little bit like this, we want to construct it, mush it around, right? INTJs want to execute a plan. First step 1, then step 2, then step 3, step 4. NTPs, I and E, don't like the lack of flexibility of executive approaches. We want, like this trip, right? When I planned this trip, I really only had one firm thing planned, which was Thursday night in Detroit, and I didn't even make that. I was a day late getting there. But everything else I figured out on the fly as I went, more or less. I knew I was going to Lorenz Walker, and then I was going to Kansas. And beyond that, I figured out as I went and keep people up to date as to where I was and who I was going to see next, yada, yada, yada. Because I don't like the idea of I'm being constrained by some arbitrary fucking schedule or something. It bugs me. The whole idea of it bugs me. NTPs don't like to be constrained in that fashion. INTJs don't like to be unconstrained.
Yeah, you would totally make a plan. I think.
If I was going on a trip like you, I would definitely have a plan. Like, at least more than you do. Like, maybe not like a weird plan where like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be here at this time and like I'm gonna eat here. Like no way.
What happens if you make a plan and something happens, gets you off schedule? You're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna spend the rest of the afternoon with you guys because you're cool and interesting, and I don't care. I'll just push everything back a little bit. That happens. Are you freaking out or are you cool with it?
I'm making a decision. Like, I think that would be pretty cool with it. Like, whenever I do that with my homework more than anything. Like this summer, I worked on this thing, and like I would keep revising the plan that I made in the beginning, and I ended up just not doing I had to do 2 Stephanus pages a week, and I ended up doing maybe a half or not at all. So then I would revise the plan that I made.
Describe to me your own feelings.
What do you mean?
Like, were there any blows out of your wake ups?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
One more time. Was there any other appetizers I can grab for you all?
No, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Describe
My
me.
feelings?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You can talk about it a lot of different levels, but so I know that I do feel more than Mark does. I can be affected by what people say. It makes me sometimes it makes me feel a certain way.
Like what? Describe an example of something that makes you feel something. I'll give you an example of mine. Give you an example of an example. Sports Center. When I used to have a TV and watch TV, whenever they run a little segment on some underdog sports team rising up and defeating the big guy in a big challenge, and I would just I'd get all teary because somehow that just every time that shit makes me cry, you know?
Yeah.
That's an example of something that makes me feel something specific. Can you give me a comparable example?
Yeah. Okay. Often when I'm watching movies or something, very similar to your example. It's not exactly the same. Acts of sacrifice or selflessness.
Did the check all together?
Yeah,
right?
I'll take the check.
No rush whatsoever. It's just I'm gonna start doing all my side work and all that good stuff. So
Okay, well,
I don't, miss you guys.
I'm going to have you leave this table with money for that.
Cash guy.
Cash payer.
That's way better. Yeah, way better.
And I'll be right back with your change.
All right,
Is that
thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, of course. We appreciate it. Thank you.
No, of course.
Yeah, so acts of sacrifice or selflessness or things like that makes me emotional.
Would you ever buy something like a picture of a fuzzy animal to make yourself, because you're like, oh, that's cute. No?
I don't think I would. I don't do that. So
Okay, INTJs have FI in the third slot. And even though they don't display a lot of it, they're quite authoritative when talking about it. If you ask an INTJ about how they feel and blah, 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 and you push on it a bit, basically they go, well, look, it's deep and important, but defies description in words. Whereas both types of INTPs are more comfortable with it. INTPs typically do the following thing. They have specific pieces of media that they'll return to elicit certain kinds of emotion. That's one thing that INTPs will sometimes do. So, like, Zachary described to me watching certain movies when he wanted to experience certain emotions. That it was like a practical INTP kind of way of, oh, now I will experience nostalgia. And they put on a certain movie that they know is going to cause that, or a certain kind of music or something. Because they don't really understand introverted feelings much better than ENTPs do. Because for both types, it's on the backside.
So you're saying INTPs aren't very good at understanding their feelings?
Right.
They're better than ENTPs?
They're better than ENTPs.
Are they better? Are they worse than Are they better or worse than INTJs?
They're way worse than INTJs. INTJs won't display a whole hell of a lot of feelings, but they actually understand them well. And when you push them to explain it better, they basically say, it's not something that can be explained in words. It's just, it's that feeling. And I go, no, I have no fucking idea what you're talking about, actually. All I know about feelings is that sometimes I'm crying, and sometimes I'm laughing, and sometimes I'm mad. That's what I know about feelings, and most of the time I'm none of those three things. You know?
And the INTP would feel that way.
INTP is going to be more like the ENTP.
See, maybe I'm wrong, but like, I don't relate with that way of thinking about my feelings.
Do you relate with the first way?
Yes.
So,
I feel like I do understand my own feelings, the feelings of others. Like, I don't like feeling them. I try to be I'm very stable emotionally.
All right, let me ask you this.
And that's...
Which of these sentences do you agree with more? Listen, we're going out to this place tonight, and it's going to be a little bit nutty, but the important thing to remember is I'm cool, I'm easy, I'm not fussy, I'm not going to be all fucking upset about shit. But these other people, they can be a little bit fussy, so thank you.
James, sir, you're welcome.
Have a great evening.
Thank you. I'll be back. We'll check on you guys as long as you're staying here, alright?
Okay, thank you. Because that's the first sentence. First choice is, I'm not fussy, I'm worried about those people getting upset. Second sentence is, those people can worry about their own emotions, that's their problem. I'm worried about how I'm going to be about this situation because I'm not sure I'm going to have a great time.
So between the two options, which ones do I relate more? I'm not really concerned about their emotions, I'm concerned with mine. That's the second option. First option is, that sucks.
I'm not fussy. They're more likely to get upset than me, so I'll make sure that I'll keep an eye on them and make sure they're not getting upset, because if this dangerous social setting here is gonna go bad like I fear it is, it's gonna go bad because they're gonna get fussy, versus it's gonna go bad because I'm gonna get fussy.
Oh, they're gonna get fussy. It's gonna go bad because they're fussy.
Yeah, and the thing is, for ENTPs, we will always answer that question that way, but we're actually quite fussy.
Well, like I get them, I'll get upset.
You don't even realize it. You probably aren't that fussy anymore.
See,
Wait, I'm not that fussy anymore?
That's what I'm thinking.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Well, I'm saying that ENTPs are actually quite fussy themselves, but seem to be blind to that fact. And so if you ask them, are you more likely to get fussy, or is the other guy more likely to get fussy? We will always answer, well, of course the other guy. I'm not fussy. I'm easy, right?
I feel like I am.
I know. In
Totally.
reality, we're actually quite fuzzy.
So you're definitely for sure thinking I'm an ENTP then?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I have no doubt in my mind, but of course it's up to you. It's something you self-identify as,
Yeah, so to fill out maybe that explanation, I would definitely think they're gonna get more fussy. But I know, if other people were to weigh in on what I would be like, I definitely get a little what is the word?
Covered in poo?
Maybe that's it, the metaphor. I get quiet and I just get upset. Only with certain people though. It takes there's different levels, I feel like. So there's
Well, see, okay, this whole thing that you're doing right now, this whole, on the one hand, on the other hand, that's fucking textbook NTP. NTJs don't do that. They don't like on the one hand, on the other hand. They want decisive answers. I'm going to smoke a cigarette. I'm like you guys. Oh, just grinding low?
Yeah,
it's got 12%. If possible, if you guys want to continue this conversation.
Is there a plug-in somewhere? Did you ask?
I didn't ask about a plug. I have the plug.
They have to have somewhere.
Probably not near here, though. Well, we got 12% left.
Is there a wall plug somewhere?
A wall plug. Not in a convenient spot.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Over on this side, there are one of our POSs, and then there's one back in this corner. But not like anywhere close to us, because why would we have convenience?
Don't worry about it.
Right. Obviously. Okay. So we're running the show now.
Yeah, so like I don't know, like he could be right. I just it's like I would have to like I need to read like a paradigm of both. Like
Yeah.
like one that's like sophisticated, like not like whenever I read like the premium profile that I bought, I'm like yes. Like that sounds
Wait,
like
you bought one?
Well, Rachel bought one for me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so like, and it was like INTJ, because that's what, like, I was like, yeah, that's what I am, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I take the test a lot, I get that.
Uh-huh.
And then I read it, and I read INTP, and I'm like, I sound like an INTJ, and like, maybe he's right in terms of like, because I am like well, there's this, and there's that.
Yeah,
and
you do that.
Like, and that's like I don't give like, very, like, so with that doctor debate that we had, like, the definition of like what a doctor is, like, like that was very decisive, like this, like boom, 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 this, you know.
You were very like.
It
set.
took a while,
Yes.
like, and I think I'm right about that.
Uh-huh.
But like I wouldn't get there. Like how I got there was like it took a lot of this information, that information.
Yeah.
Well, I already thought about this. Like I had the stuff there, but I had to find it. And then once I like figured out what I wanted to say, and like quantifying like these different things, like then I'm like, that's it. But it does like and I can give those types of answers. There's not very many. So, but I'm certainly one that. But I feel like I am a builder. It sounds like INTPs are like want to take apart arguments. Like I'm not
Do you
really.
feel like you're
interested-
natural at debating?
No.
You don't feel comfortable when you're doing it?
Something I don't feel.
You need time though, right? Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah. Well, it would be hard for me. Like I don't feel like I'm cut out for debating.
Uh-huh.
Like I don't necessarily agree with like so debating is good, but like it like
We should ask him about the winning thing. Like, would an INTJ consider like in a debate winning versus
See, like
not
I
winning?
don't think that
Or an INTP?
it usurps the purpose of the debate to like think that there's a winner. Oh, I
Well,
won because of these reasons.
I think
like,
an INTP
it's
or an
not-
ENTP would assume that there's a winner.
An INTP, you think?
Or any NTP. I
I
think
just don't
would
feel like
think
I'm
that
good
there's a
at like
winner.
what is it, extrovert thinking? Is that what INTPs have?
No, INTJs.
INTJs have extrovert thinking.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just confused.
Extroverted thinking is the one that builds stuff and
Okay.
like sees what's right. Do you like to find what's right in something or what's wrong in something?
Right.
Okay,
Like,
yeah,
that's
that's
all
an
I do.
INTJ answer.
Like that's literally all I do. Like in pragmatism, like oh this, like that's cool. Like Peirce is right. Like that's really sick about like his theory of truth being like that which we find
Bring
at
that
the
up
end
to
of
Eric when
inquiry.
he comes back.
Like that's sick, but then I'm like that's wrong and that's silly. Like, and I want to like take what's true in Peirce and what's true in Dewey or what's true in metaphysics or what's true in this, and I want to put it together. And like that's why I'm a Christian. Because I put those things together, I say, holy crap, like, it hangs together.
Yeah.
Like, these things that seem true to me, like, hang together in Christianity better than any other worldview that I've been able to compare it to. That sounds like building.
That sounds like a,
And, like, and then the executive question, so... Like, am I a constructor or an executive? Like, I guess I don't know what the executive
So bring that up to Eric real quick.
Let's stop this video, start finish. So I got to go.
Okay.
I'll turn this on.
Oh,
So,
that's so cool.
this is sport.
That is really cool.
That's a good idea.
So
It's very nerdy, but...
Hayden said he likes to find out or like see what's right in something rather than what's wrong in something.
I mean,
I feel like I do that more.
I mean, I'd like to think the same is true of me, but I mean, at least some of nowadays.